Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nick. Welcome to Angelic Video Tutorials. Today we will discuss a little bit about best practices in software development. Don't be confused, it's not about design patterns, it's about best practices, and I will be very short and I will show you basics of best practices in software development. Exist best practices in software development and also exist in security in software development. So two of these parts. I will be today focused on software development best practices. What is exactly? It's something very easy actually. It's not a big deal. It's just you as a software developer to produce a quality source code, nothing else. Do everything it's necessary to produce quality source code. Why? Because every company who have a software developer who develop a quality source code, who produce and implement a source code who is a quality one. In that moment, that developer is very good, and also that company can sell the product, the software product, or software as a service, or whatever, better. Why? Because it is accordingly with some standards in this. Okay, so that's why. Good. Let's try to understand a little bit all these parts. Why we need quality in software development. We have Visual Studio, we can put there source code, and that's it. Yes, correct, we can put there source code, but it's not that's it. It's just a beginning, and then if you do that, you're a software developer entry level. If you start to do some quality, to arrange, to format, to check a little bit what's going on there, to clean the code, to have a clean code, that's this part, in that moment you will find something very, very nice. You will have a better code than an entry level. So in this case, probably you will be a middle level. So for people who really don't know what is best practices in software development in source code, let's start to produce some code and to present what's going on with that code. Okay, so for all this I have a Visual Studio as an IDE. Perfect. And I want to configure a new project. I will say console application test. It's a console application. Okay. On .NET Framework 4.7.2, it's almost the same thing in .NET Core. If it's console, don't worry, you need to produce a quality code. Doesn't matter in what programming language, doesn't matter in what IDE is used. IDE is integrated development environment. In our case will be Visual Studio. In our case, programming language will be C#. Okay, so in this case we will start the project. Also, we will start a solution because we don't have a solution. So automatically a solution is started and automatically a project will be created. So let's create. And in this case, Visual Studio will produce for us scaffolding. We'll use a scaffold. Scaffolding means a template from Visual Studio. Whoops, is here. Okay, who let us to produce code, and code is actually the structure of the project is produced automatically by Visual Studio for you, a format of, because if you do a console application, have a format. Can you see here? If you produce a web application, it's something else, and so on. Okay, so in this case we have something. Wow, what we have? We have a class named program. We have another. We have a method here. Look, wow, what we have here. Let's show. Okay, entry point for an application. If you do something, you will have it there. Okay, in main. So basically, what we have: a class and a method. Easy. Till now everything is perfect. What we will have in the future? Let's say we have another thing. Let's say like static void something to produce. Okay, we have this, and because it's void we don't have nothing to enter here, so in this case we don't have no args, no arguments, nothing. I mean, we don't have variables there, put it to understand, everybody to understand. Okay, good. In this case you can see a lot of things. If we let like that and continue the software with something else, we will have an orphan method. So that means a method who don't have nothing inside, and it's not good practice. It's not accordingly with best practices. You can't let it like that. You can't. So in this case, if you don't have something there, and you don't want to use that method, class, or whatever, you just need to do what? To comment. But even if you finish your development part, your task, you have a task, you know, and you let it like that, even if it's like this, it's against best practices. Why? Because you don't clear your code. That's first. So if you really want to have a clean code after you finish everything, try to clean your code. Don't let something like orphan classes, orphan methods, and so on. Don't let it. Okay? So try to clean your code. That's first. Second, in generally, Visual Studio create automatically a format, can you see, for your source code. That's again accordingly. This is accordingly with best practices, because if you have here, can you see, a class is inside of a namespace, so you can see it's in right a little bit, right side a little bit. Okay, method is inside of a class, and so on. So this format of text is accordingly with best practices. What is not accordingly with best practices, or software developers can say against best practices, is this. We have here something and it's not used. You know why it's not used? Because we don't need it for the moment. For the moment, with what we have, a source code, that part of the code is not used. So it's good, but it's not so good. It's good because we have it here, so we don't have errors, but it's not good because it's light gray. When you see light gray, means it's not used. What you need to do? Delete it. Save. Build. Believe me, it's no errors. Look, build started, build successful here. Okay, here. Okay. So, even without that, for the moment, it's good. So if you don't use a namespace, if you don't use a DLL, to say like that, you know, if you don't use an assembly, in this case, don't put it there for nothing. In general, Visual Studio put that for you to have it in case of you need have it there. It's as a default. But if you don't use it, don't let it. It's not accordingly with best practices. Good. What is not accordingly with best practices? To have a namespace, a class, and of course to do another class. Let's say public class, name of the class. Okay, this is the name of the class, and in this class, can you see, automatically Visual Studio put the format for us. This class is inside of the same file, on the same file, program CS. Don't be confused, program CS is not for class. .cs is extension for C#. Why? Because if you will create something in Visual Basic, you will have program.vb. Okay, so that's not a class. When you start to create a class, everybody says, "Oh, if I will create a CS, I create a class." Don't be confused. It's not quality to say that. So in this case, CS is from C sharp, not from a class. Okay, good. If you do this, public class, name of the class, and have some inside, let's put something like I don't know, static void hello world, okay, probably, I don't know, and have something inside and have a message or something there. In the moment we can say console write or something like that. In the moment we can have something there. But in this case, even let's create a variable. Let's create an integer variable, variable name, and that's it. Okay, and we have something inside. Can you see something bad here? What? First, we have a class in the same file. Second, we have a variable who's not used. Can you see when it's with green line? That means it's not used. Or do something. Visual Studio said to you, the Visual Studio, the IDs can show you there, man, it's something bad. Okay, it's not so bad. It's not an error, because if it was an error, was with the red line. But because it's green line, it's like an information, something like, guy, hello, software developer, you forgot something here. Okay, this is against best practices. How to do all this to be accordingly with best practices? Easy. Let's go create a file, a CS file, meaning create a C# file, who is actually a class. Let's say a class and say name of the class. Name of the class 2. Okay. Can you see? We have name of the class 2. Take this from here and put it here. Of course, now it's against best practices. Why we need to do? We can do something like this. Take entire static method, entire part, and put it here. That's good. What we can do, and here to have integer name of variable, or what was, okay? So we moved. Why we moved? Because it's not good to have in the same file multiple classes. Of course, we need to delete this class. Why it's not good? It's confusing. If another developer will come, let's say you develop some code there, a module or something, you know, and the company send you to another project, and I will come there, and I'm an entry middle level developer, to say like that, okay, and I need to see what's going on. Honestly, I'll be confused. What class is where? Whoa, what class? Where is the class exactly? Class, I need, you know, because you don't know exactly. You need to have, in general, according with best practices, a class into a file. You have a file, put a class inside. That's basics, okay? Okay, don't discuss here about nested classes and so on like that. About a simple class into a file and use it between the files. If you want to use a class, you can use, for example, here, what we have here. We have a class. In this case, it's not good. We need to have a public class to take it. Okay, so in this case, we will have, what is the name of variable? Okay, so name of variable can be here, okay, if it's necessary or not. what I want to do, I want to do this. I want to show you all this part to understand it's small things. Probably part of you will say, you know, Nick, that's details. Yeah, correct, that's details. But these details do the difference between a good to very good developer from a common developer. Okay, good. So this best practice till now was something basic. Let's continue to do something else. Let's continue to create something better. Let's click on this and delete against best practices. Good. Well, we have another best practice. We have another best practice like comments. You know, in general, after you create something, you implement some source code, you need to put for others what's going on there. Or in the moment is the best thing. In the moment we create the code, it's good to implement some comments. Why? Because me, if I come after you, I need to know what's there. I saw, believe me, in probably 6 countries in Europe, a lot of software developers who forget or forgot, depends on past tense or even in the present as well. A lot of software developers who really don't put that. Says, I don't have time also for that. Honest, I need to put some comments. Why do you need to put some comments? That's just text. I need source code. It's wrong. Why it's wrong? Because you can't have source code and let another developer to guess what's there. Not because the other developer can't guess and can't see at the end what's going on. It's because of the time. If you let a code like this to me, I need time to go in entire source code to check what's going on. If you put a comment, I can see exactly what's going on before starting to enter. And I will decide after that if it's necessary in that part of the source code to enter or not. So that's another best practice. For example, to put a comment, you have 2 types of comments, you know. If you have something just to tell to someone, it's /, you know, and say, here I will create a variable, okay, and of course we will create a variable name. Okay, good. And after that variable name it's 1. Okay, so that's good? No. Why is not good? Because variable name have big V. Can you see? If it's variable name and we will rename everything, come on, rename, thank you, then it's a good according with best practices. But till then we have a comment. Perfect. We start to have best practices implemented in our code. But it's not enough. This comment can be in 2 ways, 2 types of comments. This kind of comment will just let you to know something. And for example, this type of comment will let you to see also the software development, but also is good for what? For technical documentation. Because if you go into in properties, for example, you can go directly in properties here if you want, or here in properties. It's the same thing, you know. I mean, if you go here in properties assemblies, you see in code basically what you see here. So if you go here, you will go to see build and other things and so on and so on and so on, you know. And you can see a lot. Build, events, and of course, at the build, we have XML documentation file. If it's checked, in that moment, Visual Studio, every time when you do a build, will create an XML with the name of your project. And inside of the XML, basically you have exactly put in what you create with comments for technical documentation. I mean, these kind of comments. If you want to have a better and easier way to do it, you can use an extension, okay, for that, and exist a lot of open source extensions who can be added, and then there you can use it to make your life easier. I mean, to be faster, like I was. You saw I was just triple slash and generated already, so can be done. Also, if we have this one, it's automatically put it comment. We need comment. We need to put comments there because people need to know. Don't let other software developers just to see a source code. Oh, it's another software developer, so he need to know. Yes, he need to know. He knows to develop, but he don't know what's going on inside. So, when enter, it's exactly like you enter into a house and you don't know the house. First you enter and check what's going on. Is someone here? What is have their furniture, have a table, the same thing. A software developer, when enter for the first time into a project in source code, he need to understand the source code. By the way, also this is only with best practices. Don't forget to put all this and to create also the technical documentation. I'm talking now not with software developers, I'm talking now with software architects and IT project managers, team leads and so on. I mean, people who's seniors. Don't forget to give them technical documentation. Accordingly with best practices in software development, when a software developer take a task, let's say we work agile, Scrum, and in that moment when you have something to do, you need to have a task. That's the name, a task, okay? So when you take a task, inside of the task you need to have title of the task. I mean, what's going on? You need to create a class, the title of the task, and inside you need to have details. A big mistake in general I saw from managers, from lead developers, from software architects, depends who managed that part. And it's I saw a lot. They put just 2 lines. In general, I saw some tasks like to have a good module, beautiful and fast. Guys, wow! A software developer is not Nostradamus, it's just a software developer. So in this case, you need to explain to the software developer what he or she need to do. That means details of the task. The best thing of according with best practices in software development, it's also to attach a link or a document or whatever, something as a documentation or a link to technical documentation of what is exactly placed in that module. Because a software developer is not necessary to go to do explore testing for you. It's not necessary. Their part is to implement code. Their part is to test the code, and their part is to provide you quality in code. Your part as a manager of whatever is to provide them best quality, so according with best practices of requirements. If a software developer don't have good requirements, you will have as a project manager bad software. Why? because you will let a software developer to decide. I saw something like to have a button, and a button to have something on the title of the button, and press when you have an event, click event, to do a click. And I said in the past, guys, wow, beautiful requirements, beautiful task. What I need to do in this task? Okay, to create a button, what kind of color, what kind of dimension, where to be placed? Nah. Nig will resolve that. And of course, when someone, a user, press the button, so event is click, it's click event. To do what in back? To do something, and if on that event to produce something, to go in other class, to take something from a what? Nothing. Okay, I saw people who says, I have a challenge for you. Challenge means multiple tasks, take it and take as a big group of tasks. Take it and deal with that, for senior in general. And as the requirements was to be good, fast, and cheap. Again, it's not good. It's not best practices in software development. These kind of things make the difference, make a very big difference between a factory processing and a quality processing. Factory processing is that kind of company who have a process of producing, when produces software, like a factory. Like go, and so on. And we will see in the rest, God help us not to crash. If it's not crashing, wow, good. And the quality processing, it's that kind of company who really don't care too much about time to be very short and cheap. They care about quality. I mean, to produce very, very, very good software. And I saw software applications. I saw software applications. The same software application has been sold with a company with 100,000 euros, another company, the same type of software with 1 million euros. And I said, wow. I said, good salesmen, people who sell. And they said, no, they're not good, they're normal. The code is better. And that makes the product, the software application, to have a higher value. Because when you go into a big client, big customer, that customer, believe me, will have someone who really knows IT. That customer probably will do to you some audit. Ooh, if you will have an audit from customer, this is good also for customers to know. If you're a customer and you don't know what to do audit to them. Don't let them to do the software like they want. You pay for that software, so tell them exactly in details what is necessary, not technical, because it's not necessary. You as a customer, you can say non-technical. That's why they have someone who need to translate technical parts for internal activity. Okay, so but don't let a software company, software house, to produce a software for you like they want. No, let them put them to produce a software like you want, and that's better. Okay, good. Let's have other best practices. For example, here you can use, when I said about this variable, I put a variable with big V, with big letter, capital. Yeah. Let's say string name of another variable. Guys, string, sorry, not sting. String name of, did you see, was with red line, so that was bad, string name of another variable. It's a name of a variable. Format of the variable is string. I mean, also characters, also numbers inside. Okay, so also letters, also numbers. Okay, good. but it's not good. Why? Check why. Because I put with capital N, if it's a variable or something like variable constants and so on, data, you know, you need to create in Camel Case. What means Camel Case? Camel Case, it's that kind of name, title, you name it, who start with just a simple letter, lower character. Continue with what is, show this, for example, show this, and that's a camel case. Why it's a camel case? Because have inside capital, but not starting with a capital character, you know. It's like a camel, you know, when a camel have that humpy bumpy, you know? Yeah, so the same. Pascal case, it's something like start with capital letter, capital character, and continue like that. Can you see? That's a Pascal case. When is used Pascal case? When is used Camel case? Camel case you saw is used, for example, when you have a variable or constant. A Pascal case when it's used when you have a property. Can you see? Woo, beautiful. If you don't believe me, we need to put also a comment here. And this is for our property. Okay, or we can't put a comment, depends what you want, you know. If you want a comment for property, we have a comment for property. Let's put the comment to be nice. I did this intentionally because I want you to understand also the format. Okay, it's necessary, the format, where you put, how you put in 3 line, you know, the code. So basically, can you see, we have variable name and we can have variable name, and believe me, it's totally different. Okay, what is not necessary to do, don't do something like this. A lot of software developers I saw doing something like I don't know, something like create a variable and place directly a value inside of the variable. Not good. Not accordingly with best practices. Okay, so this is another bad way. What something else is bad in our best practices part. I will show you. For example, if you have something like hello world, okay, I will have hello world. It's a method. Okay, we have another thing like static method 1. Okay, we can have static or we can have static void. I put a static void. Better. Can you see? Good. Here we have variable 1 integer, and the name of variable is variable 1. Okay, and after that here we will have something like variable 1 and so on, you know. If you do, let's do public, what? Public static void. Okay, good. If we do something like this, it's a variable inside, but if you do something like this, it's a general one. Okay, so in this case we can use that variable anywhere you want. If you put public, it's better. Public variable is better, you know, to be taken. But if you do what I did now, it's bad. It's not a colony with best practices. I did this intentionally because I want to show you to move, to put from line 20 to line 3 to line 4, to go back to line 13, go to, that's spaghetti code. If you have code, lines of code who goes from line 20 to line 1 to line 13, 20, 12, 8, and so on, that's spaghetti code. You know, that's not good. You need to have a clean code. That's why you need to create something, a colony with best practices. Declare the variables, constants, and everything first, and after that do the process, like I have now. Okay? Even if it's inside local, declare the variable first. Okay. And name of student equal Nick. Okay. Declare first. You can have it also if you do like this. It's not a problem. Without that, can you see it's an error now? But if I will do like this, Visual Studio will start to show me it's not good. Why? Because you try to use something who's not declared, and after that you start to declare. Okay. So first declare, second use what you have there. Okay. And don't forget about comments to everything. Here, for example, a short comment of declare a variable. Here is use variable. Now it's not necessary to put comments to every line of code. Again, will be too much even if you put comments to every line of code. If you have data structure like an if, for example, okay, if you have a data structure, in that moment, yes, put just here data structure. Okay, and what is inside that data structure who do something, okay, for example, and everybody will know what is in that data structure, but put it. Why? Because people need to know what's going on inside. Okay. Exists a lot of other best practices. For example, a best practice for encoding and in the software development, for software architects and for people who is a little bit more advanced. Something like, have it here. We have some classes here. Okay, good. If you don't believe me, look. It's a class, correct? Good. What we need to do, right click, class diagram. If you really are a guy, a lady, someone who really love to do something, who will be the best, will have a very high level of quality, you need to implement also this. Why? Because look here. Okay, because this is very good for people who analyze, in case of audit, in case of analyze, in case of people who do architecture of a software, even IT project managers. By the way, I hate the kind of companies who said, I want an IT manager who need to know C#. Because that manager need to know. No. That's why you have seniors. That's why you have team leads. A software developer, senior level, more than 8 years in IT and software development, can't lead and can lead and can do something like this. Also, I hate software developers who said, let's talk in C#. It's better to talk algorithms. It's better to optimize an algorithm. And after that, you can implement that algorithm in whatever you want. In case of you want to optimize an algorithm, use a design pattern. Okay, we will discuss about design patterns in other video tutorial. But don't discuss into a programming language. You're not a coder, you're a software developer. Okay, a software developer needs a man or a woman who really knows algorithms and implementation. If you know an algorithm, what do, you can implement in 3 different languages, programming languages, and it's perfect. If you don't know that and you go just in C# or VB.NET or Java or whatever, you will not know in other one what to do. Even if I give you something who's the same what was in another programming language, you don't have a clue. Why? Because you don't know other programming language. That's why, you know. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think all this is beautiful to have it as a baggage in your knowledge pack, to say like that. Okay. Don't forget to use all this. Don't forget to use at least best practices in basic thing of best practices when you create, when you implement, when you develop a software, when you put some code. Why? Because all this do the difference between you as a software developer and someone who's a coder. Coder means someone who just put there. It's like a, I don't know, digital secretary. I don't have nothing against secretaries. Sorry. It's about just to write something there. Or you write in Word or you write here. Okay? That's a coder. Just put some code but don't think what's going on. That's why in the past, in the past they had 2 types, 2 people. One who analyzed and the other one who produced the code. After that, put everything in one man, to say like that, in just one head, because it was big critical errors between that. So that's why you are also an analyst. You analyze first. When you take a task, analyze your task. Don't jump on the keyboard. When I see students, software developers having a task and good, let's go, bang, direct on the keyboard, I'm what you do? I'm starting. How come? I'm started already. I said, okay, and I will count how many critical errors you will have, or bugs at least, because if you know best practices, you must know a bug is not necessary to be an error. It's an omission. So you can have 20 critical bugs when you do like that, or you can have 3 bugs, non-critical, if you analyze first. Think first and act after. Don't act and think after. The same here. Analyze your source code, produce the source code, implement the source code. After you analyze, optimize and everything. That's why you need algorithms, And after that, test your part. You can do unit tests. If you go in ISTQB, it's good also for software developers to know ISTQB a little bit. When I discussed with software developer and I said, how do you know about ISTQB? They said, oh, it's not for me, that's for testers. Yes, it's for testers to know all ISTQB, all that V of ISTQB, testing, starting from big things, system things, till unit test. It's small. That unit test is yours. As a software developer, you need to do it, not a tester. You need to do a unit test to test yourself if your code is good. And here I can correlate it. I can make a link between this and mathematics. In mathematics, when you have a problem and you need to resolve that problem, after that you need to check if it's correct. The same thing here. You have a problem as a task with some requirements. You need to resolve that problem. To implement a module, class, software, application, whatever. And after that, you don't jump in the done, good, perfect, excellent. No. Try also to check if it's good. And according with best practices, try to check also for resources. That's why when you start a debug, for example, when you start a debug, Visual Studio shows you also how much, how many resources is consumed, and that shows you how good you are. You can do a software who is okay, let everything like that. I saw a lot of project managers or senior software developers say, let it is okay. Like Microsoft put there, Visual Studio, like Oracle put there, Java, whatever, let it there. I say, guys, really? Why we are then software developers? To think, not just to act, not just to produce, not just to implement code. So in this case, when I have something, I will not let it in default. It's exactly like a system administrator, a guy who installs software for you, for example, when you call, let everything in default. Believe me, if a system administrator or network administrator install a server and let everything in default, will be a digital bomb, to say like that, will be bad. So the same here, if you let everything like digital god of software development let, you will have something default. And after that you will say, oh, my software produce a lot of bugs of performance or functionalities or so on. That's why, because you let everything like was from nature, to say like that. No, try to check there what's going on, and after that enter in details and try to optimize. Like a manager optimize the budget all the time, including with you, with software developer. The same, you as a software developer, you need to optimize your software, your source code. Okay? So try not to forget this. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope everything was good to see. I hope you saw all this and will help you in the future to develop software, to implement software. I think these basic things, small things, these details basically do the difference between a software developer and a coder. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nick. Till next time, see you. Bye.